Nice. We are live. What's up, guys? I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report. It is Sunday, June 14th, 2020. It has already been a week. It has already been a week since last Sunday. And we are having church with Jesse Lee Peterson. Make sure you join us for church with Jesse Lee Peterson. It is excellent. I'm the producer for Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, which just means that I put out the services, make sure they go out online with the help, of course, of our black engineers who do a great job. Nice. And so that's rebuildingtheman.com/church. Subscribe to Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. It is excellent. That is Jesse Lee Peterson's excellent church channel, right? The nonprofit organization. What's up, guys? Oh, let me pull up my Restream chat so that I can see what you guys are saying. Shout out to everybody. Mixer, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, DLive, Twitch coming on soon. It is shout out to my friend and your friend and Jesse Lee Peterson's friend and Bond's friend, Maria. Shout out to you because I got the hat tip to her because I found out that today is Flag Day. That's right, Flag Day. And do you know what Flag Day is? I did not know what it was, but that's partly why I'm wearing my unapologetic American patriot t-shirt. It is, in the United States, Flag Day is celebrated on June 14th. It commemorates the adoption of the flag by the United States on June 14th, 1777. That's before anybody of here was born. By the resolution of the Second Continental Congress, according to Wikipedia. Sunday, June 14th, 2020 is Flag Day. Doesn't always fall on a Sunday, it always falls on June 14th. Isn't that nice? And not only that, isn't it appropriate that Sunday, June 14th, Flag Day, is also President Donald J. Trump's birthday. Happy birthday to Donald Trump. I'm going to be talking about this dumb thing of reparations that they're trying to push, right? But hang tight. I want to start that once we start with the show. I start 5 minutes till 9 or, here, give or take. And I don't play the intro song, those of you who aren't familiar, until 9 a.m. Because it's Sunday, I try to get a little bit of an early start. How are we going to do reparations when we continue to have the government-run slaves in prison work camps? Good point. I'm okay with slaves in prison work camps. Chain gang. That's cool. But actually, they work. They get money. Did you know that? It's called commissary or something like that. Commissary? But anyways, President Trump is 74 years old today. Right on to President Trump. He was born June 14th, 1946 in New York City, in Jamaica Hospital. Not to be confused with Jamaica Island. Man. So Trump is 74, my dad's 73, my mom's 72, and Jesse Lee Peterson 71. That'd be 46, 47, 48, 49. Nice. I love boomers. I love boomers. If I love anyone, I love boomers. Jury's out on whether I love anybody, right? But anyways, I was working on a 90s show. Jesse Lee Peterson has been doing this since 1990, which is before many of you guys were born, including, I think, Joel. 91, right? Yeah, I was born in 81, Joel 91. Jesse Lee Peterson, actually, I call it a 90s show, but it's actually a 2000 show from the year 2000, after I graduated high school. He interviewed a lady named Barbara Coe, the late Barbara Coe. And I read a little bit about her in SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which makes its business smearing America and white people and Christians, and they're communists. I think they have communist roots, right? And they push the communist lie of racism. They're evil, right? SPLC calls her, Barbara Coe, just plain mean. And they have her in her own words, and she's saying stuff that's true and, sounds good. What's wrong? But she does, at one point, she refers to Mexicans as savages, which there are Mexicans who are savages. What's the problem? But they call her just plain mean. SPLC is just plain mean. They smear people, and they got somebody so riled up against so-called hate that this person hates hate so much, he went over to the Family Research Council office and tried to bomb it. And he used the SPLC hate map. Disgusting. SPLC, they are haters. They are evil. They're mean. They are mean. Liberals are mean. They're mean with their niceness. Anyways, it is about time to get started. I just wanted to share that with... Oh, show the pictures of Barbara Coe. Because that's the whole reason I really even brought it up. I just want to show you guys a picture of Barbara Coe and Jesse Lee Peterson from the year. That's good to know that you didn't do it. Because if you did do that... What's up, guys? We're back. The stream dropped briefly out right there. Sorry about that. But I am back. Joel does this thing. He picked it up from Bill, the other black engineer, where you click something to strengthen the stream, right? He didn't think he had to do it on Sundays, which, it kind of makes sense. People aren't working necessarily, and they're not going to necessarily be on their computers. But, I mean, we're just assuming that it's the COVID. But ASS us. But anyways, whatever. We're back. It is just after 9 a.m., and I will be taking your calls, 888-775-3773. It's Sunday, June 14th, 2020. Happy Flag Day, and happy birthday to President Trump. And let's get started with this mess of a show.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
What's up, guys? I'm going to be talking about a Christianity Today article by President and CEO of Christianity Today, Timothy Dalrymple, or what? Dalrymple? Talking about reparations from white Christians to blacks. Pathetic. You can call in too.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, what's up, guys? Let's get started. You know, I don't know if this man even used the term reparations in his article. Thinking back, I don't remember. I read the whole thing, I think. I don't remember if I saw the word reparations. I hope he joins the Jesse Lee Peterson show for interview, by the way. Or my show, but I think Jesse would be so good with him. Because Jesse's like a real Christian. Dealing with this stuff. Anyways, before I get started on that, though, it is Flag Day, and I have in my thumbnail of this podcast / episode / show, my face with the washed out Confederate flag over it. Kind of like how the haters of Christians have the washed out rainbow flag over it, or the washed out French flag after the terror attack in France and all that stuff. Because there is a terror attack on America, on the South, on white people, on blacks, honestly. The blacks are too dumb to realize that, many of them are, to realize that this is just an attack on whites and on them by pretending to be their friends, wolves in sheep's clothing, pretending to be black friends. And they're trying to ban the Confederate flag. Those who are offended by it, people need to get over the Confederate flag or whatever this thing is, right? Joe from Phoenix trying to correct me. This is not the Confederate flag, it's the Virginia something. And then somebody actually in the Fallen State chat on Friday corrected him. But that I'm referring to a conversation on Friday, on the Friday show. But especially, okay, the people who love the flag and love the Confederate flag and are upset by it getting taken down, we got to get over that too. Otherwise, we're going to be the angry white men or the angry people, right? So we got to get over it too. But those who are offended by it, got to get over it. Those who want to get rid of it, disgusting people. Disgusting. Nervous Nancy Pelosi. I have pictures of these three people. It's called HN something. Nervous Nancy Pelosi. This guy, Admiral Michael Gilday. I think he's in charge of the Navy. He just looks like a mama spirit kiss-up guy, doesn't he? And then Elizabeth Warren. They want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of the statues, the Confederate statues. They're evil. Never side with these people, especially the two flanking the male. Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas. Nancy Pelosi, such a phony imitation Christian. A Democrat. Pro-abortion. Hates Trump. Hates America. These people are disgusting. And so never side with them, okay? I was wearing a Confederate flag t-shirt, and one of my friends, the mods, was like, I can't mod for a Confederate. I think he was kidding. I don't know for sure. And then he left. He probably just had to leave, right? It wasn't about the offense over my t-shirt. He still likes me. He's still tweeting at me, stuff like that. Some of you guys thought that he was taking it to the heart. I don't know. I don't think so. But, you know, incidents like these, all these vague incidences, and the reason I call them vague is because sometimes people who are on the side of what's right may get fooled by this mess. And you see this more and more, such as when Trump and others tell people, oh, go back to your country. Like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, even though she was born in Detroit, but it's not her country. She hates America. And other people, Ayanna Pressley, who hates America. These Democrat female congresswomen of color, female congressmen. They got to go back. If they're so good at justice, bring justice to the countries that are actually experiencing injustice. The injustice today is against real justice. But there'll be nice people who love Jesse, love me, love Bond, and just real friends, decent people who get suckered by this thing like, oh, I was told once to go back, or many times by so-called racist people to go back to my country, so this thing hurts my feelings. Or the Confederate flag represents slavery or something like that. That's not what it means to these people. And these people who are telling evil people to go back, they're not telling you to go back just because you're an immigrant. You love America. So don't be taking it personally. And people like Joe, who doesn't think that the Confederate flag is beautiful because it represents him being not human. Where does that say? Where is that said? It does not said anywhere that the blacks were not human. Never where is that said. It's just it's actually dehumanizing whites by pretending that they didn't see blacks as humans. Because what kind of human would not see a fellow human being as not as human? If anything, it's the blacks today who are treating people as though they're not human. Killing the babies the liberals killing the babies in the womb. The babies are not human. Pathetic. So it's such a lie. Anyways, I got to get to this. I will get to your calls. I have a truckload of stuff to trudge through. Okay? I got this from Drudge. Christianity Today calls for churches. Christianity Today is a so-called Christian outlet. Pretty liberal. They actually also did a George Floyd article that he left behind a gospel legacy. I have the author of this article today. The article came out on Wednesday, but he tweeted out that George Floyd left behind a gospel legacy. And you see him with a halo in the picture behind him. You see George Floyd with a halo, and then I think it's actually just singling him out because he's amongst a bunch of other blacks. He could easily be confused of which person is George Floyd. But they put a halo behind him, as if he's a saint or Jesus or something, or the Virgin Mary. Do you see that? It's one of those in there. You can just kind of casually go through those pictures just at your leisure throughout this talk, Joel, inside of the reparations. I think I put it in there. You'll make, if you put them all up eventually, you'll probably come across it. You don't have to see it. People, if you're watching the thing, you'll see it eventually. Yeah, I see it. It's there. Anyways, so I got this from Drudge, and they shared a Discern article, D-I-S-R-N, I think, in a new editorial published on Wednesday. Yeah, the Halo pic.
I see this one.
Yeah, exactly. You see the white halo behind him? It's not exactly a traditional, it's not the circle around him, right? It's not that ring around him, but it is it's the halo like in those paintings. Anyways, that's the picture. George Floyd, a saint. I don't know what he was. So anyways, this article published Wednesday, Christianity's Today's President and CEO, Timothy Dalrymple, D-A-L-R-Y-M-P-L-E, Dalrymple. I'm presuming that I'm spelling it right. I don't know. Labeled slavery one of America's original sins, which is such phoniness. Adding that the Christian church was silent in the face of slavery or even complicit in it. Yeah, and slavery is not a sin. This guy's also written a book about that Taiwanese. Well, he's American, but I don't know if he was born in Taiwan, but he's Taiwanese, right? NBA player Jeremy Lin, that everybody was excited about because he's a Christian and he's Asian and he's an NBA player. He wrote a book about that back in 2012. And he also posted an old interview of Rick Santorum, the phony rhino Christian guy who apologized for telling the truth about blacks, saying, I want blacks to work, implying that blacks are lazy, which is true, or unemployed, which is true. Black unemployment is consistently twice the average. Whatever. There's this gross black and white photograph of what apparently is supposed to be a black family. Maybe it really is. With the father and looks like a light-skinned mother. She's lighter skinned, but I could be wrong. Could just be lighting. Wearing this wild black hair. As Jesse Lee Peterson points out, when these people have this wild hair, that you know they're angry. But anyways, everyone's wearing black clothes. A little kid with baby fat being held by the father, and then the bigger boy, the little boy, young boy, wearing a shirt that says melanin on it, and melanin is the protein that turns skin black. If that doesn't scream into your race, I don't know. On the part of the parents, I'm saying. And it's backwards. The father should be holding the little boy, and the littler kid, who looks like he or she is under 3 or 4, maybe younger than that, it should be held by the mother. Right? Right. So that's backwards, too. Just a side note. But worse than that, floating above their heads, you see the supposed family in the photograph are the evil questions based on lies. Am I next? Can you read who is responsible for this image? Is it Jeremy? Cowart, like coward, but with a T. And it says the words, am I next? Meaning next to get killed by police, right? And what else does it say? How long until I fit the description? Because blacks often fit the description of black criminal suspects. And that's supposed to be our fault. God loves me. What's your excuse? I don't know what that is supposed to mean. How long until you label me a threat? Blacks are frequently a threat, but they are, this is just mess. It's false victimhood. They're the perpetrators and they're pretending to be victims. So that's the picture that Christianity Today decided to share in this article. So the first thing it quotes is the Bible, right? And it's a quote from Genesis 4:10. Your brother's blood cries out. God told Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel, right? Supposedly the first murder or whatever. Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground, God told Cain. Because Cain's like, God's all, hey Abel, where's your brother? After Cain killed Abel. Because Cain was jealous of Abel. Abel was more favored by God, I guess, or something. And so Cain's all, am I my brother's keeper? I don't know. But he did know. He had just killed him, and with a rock. And he said, God told him, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground, meaning like we need justice. If blacks are a big extended family, as the people who believe in race, both black and white and others, the people who believe in race think that they're one big extended family, right? Well, they believe in race over spirit, right? Then blacks kill their brothers all the time and their children on a mass scale every day through abortion and other violent crime. Abortion is violent crime too, by the way. So that's ironic that this Timothy Dalrymple would quote that verse as though whites are the ones that owe money to the... And they're thinking about money. Blacks also commit more than twice as many murders against white people as vice versa. Cops are more at risk from black people than black people are at risk from cops per capita, right? The population of cops, they're more at risk. And even if you reference Jesus is equating hating with murder, he says if you hate your brother, you're guilty of murder. You've committed murder in your heart already. And that's true. And blacks hate one another and white people far more than the reverse. Well, I say that, but I'll get to that more of that later, because whites do hate blacks in a sense. They falsely accuse whites and police, come up with hate crime hoaxes more than anybody else. Jussie Smollett was just the tip of the iceberg. They, especially the college blacks, oh my gosh. The gays do it too. Women do it too. And then you can find some whites who do this stuff too. There is hatred that whites have towards blacks. It's in their white niceness, mostly. That niceness, that's hate. White false guilt is hate. That's what this guy has too. Their fear of black anger is hate. And their fear of the false accusations of racism, that's not real love. If you're afraid, right? There's no fear in love, right? Perfect love drives out fear, says the Bible. It's in the Bible. It's a fact. And occasionally whites do lash out in anger, such as what Dylan Roof did at the smears. He saw whites constantly being smeared. He looked up black on white crime. He's like, wait, we're not the perpetrators. And then he wanted to start a race war. So occasionally blacks hate whites violently. I mean, whites hate blacks violently too. And want to know about injustice? Look at the 70 to 80% plus of unsolved, unpunished murders, homicides in Chicago that go on regularly. This is like consistent. Blacks get away with murder more than anybody in the country, of each other, mostly, but they also kill whites. Talk about blood crying out from the ground, right? Perhaps most of these victims were not as innocent as Abel was, Cain and Abel. But David Dorn, his blood cries out from the ground, right? Hopefully they caught the right guy. David Dorn being the retired police officer. I think he was I forget what he was, a chief. He wasn't a chief. But anyways, he was a respected policeman, retired, 77 years old, looking out for a store that was getting looted, shot. And hopefully they caught the right guy. So this thing about, and then I will get to your calls, America's quote-unquote original sins. This is so phony. Original sin, I don't even know if that's even in the Bible, to be honest. So they're just appropriating Christianese language. Nowhere in the Bible is slavery called a sin. Isn't that interesting? Nor is racism ever called a sin, or even mentioned. It's not even in the Bible. It wasn't even a concept. Freedom is preferred, right? The Bible says, if you can get your freedom, do so. But other than that, like respect your master and master treat your slave, right? That's in the Bible. But if you can get your freedom, do so. And also don't show favoritism to a rich man over a poor man if they're coming to your meeting, right? But blacks show favoritism to the rich all the time. And you could say whites do it too. But he says this. This is a quote from this guy, Timothy Dalrymple. Two original sins have plagued this nation from its inception. The destruction of its native inhabitants, referring to the Indians, American Indians, and the institution of slavery. Those are the original sins in his mind. Both sprang from a failure to see an equal in the racial other, so he claims. As Bishop Claude Alexander has said, racism was in the amniotic fluid out of which our nation was born. Neither of those things is true. None of that stuff is true. It was not a sin what happened to the American Indians. Yeah, maybe some of it was a sin, I guess. Like murder. Occasionally there were murders, right? If we've done anything wrong to the Indians, present day, it's give them money. Don't we give them money? I thought we did, but maybe we just let them have casinos. And they distribute the money, and they try to kick each other out of the tribe so that they can have more money for themselves, fewer people to have to spread out the wealth. And I had neighbors who were getting money, and they were bums. They got the money stopped because they got kicked out of their tribe because they weren't quite Indian enough. And what happened? Their lives improved. They started working. They became useful people. Their lives became more mattered. Crazy. And on top of that, some of these people, the Indians, American Indians, were peaceful. Some of them were savages, as detailed in the Declaration of Independence, who didn't mind killing women, children, elderly, sick. The British king used the Indians against the Americans. There were very fine people on both sides, Indians and Americans, and evil people and violence on many sides. So this thing about, oh, he didn't say the word, but, oh, it was genocide of the Native American people. No, that's a caricature. That's a communist caricature of America. That's evil. There's zero evidence that white people saw the racial other as less than human, too, by the way, except when they behaved that way, except when they behaved like animals. And whites who behaved like animals were treated that way, too. They were hanged. Please. By accusing whites of seeing the racial other as less than, he's the one who's seeing those whites from the historical times as less than human. Because who could be racist? He doesn't think he's racist. No one can relate to seeing fellow human beings as not human. Today's culture dehumanizes, marginalizes, tries to silence the voices of whites, Christians, men, who, whether right or wrong, they try to defend themselves. They call them Nazis. They call them misogynists. They call them homophobic or Islamophobic. So phony. What does equal even mean, too? As not equal, is what he said. Does that mean you roll over and not try to survive and defend yourself and build a good life for yourself and your family? Whatever happens to everybody else? Does that mean you don't punish crime by the race that was committed by the racial other? Because that's what it means today, effectively. They're not punishing the crimes of the blacks. They're not punishing the crimes of the illegals, of the Hispanics. It's crazy. And this talk of racism being amniotic fluid, he says it's a virus that mutated. From slavery, it mutated into Jim Crow. And from Jim Crow, it mutated into this or that. It's all cute, poetic crap lies. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to interrupt and take a few calls because I have so much here. There's propaganda about slavery and racism. He quotes this American Slavery as It Is, published 1839 with extensive sourcing by Theodore Weld and Angelina Grimke. I don't know who those people are, but it sounds like propaganda. Listen to this. They write that slaves are frequently flogged with terrible severity, having red pepper rubbed into their lacerated flesh, and hot brine, spirits of turpentine, etc., poured over the gashes to increase the torture. They are often stripped naked, their backs and limbs cut with knives, bruised and mangled by scores and hundreds of blows with the paddle. And they are often hunted with bloodhounds and shot down like beasts or torn to pieces by dogs. That they are often suspended by the arms and whipped and beaten until they faint. And when they're revived by restoratives, beaten again until they faint. And sometimes they die till they die. That their ears are often cut off, their eyes knocked out, their bones broken, their flesh branded with hot irons. They are maimed, mutilated, burned to death over slow fires. Sounds like a lot like what the blacks are doing to the whites in South Africa and what some of the blacks would love to do to the whites here because they're so blind with hatred. I don't believe for a second that this stuff was common, what they're just described. It's propaganda, it's drama. It is exaggerated to pretend that we owe anything to blacks today. As, you know, what Ilhan Omar said, some people did something and now we have to pay. As if those people deserve justice then. Once everybody's dead, done. Yet Timothy Dalrymple would have us believe this is the institution that endured on American soil for nearly 250 years. No, it's not. We taught the slaves to be Christians. We, right? If I was involved. Their families were generally kept together for the most part because they worked better when they had their families together. That's what I heard from this radio host that Greg from Wilmington, Delaware often references, Peter Schiff. He looked into it and said that. That's what I heard. Anyways, it's just propaganda. Anyways, Timothy later talks about George Floyd. He says, quote, likewise, it's time for white evangelicals to confess that we have not taken the sin of racism with gravity and seriousness it deserves. The deep grief and anger over the death of George Floyd is more than about police brutality. It's about a society and culture that allowed the abuse and oppression of African Americans over and over again. What is he talking about? George Floyd got himself killed. He got himself killed. Maybe the cop was wrong. We'll find out. But do you believe that this cop is going to get a fair trial after all these lynch mobs call it such a horrific police brutality? Black brutality makes anything the cops do pale in comparison. And then he explains black failure with racism. It's his only explanation for black failure. He says only about 42%, this is a shocking number, of white Christians believe the history of slavery continues to impact African Americans today. 42% believe that crap? That is shocking. That's evil propaganda at work. Brainwashing of white Christians. 42%, that's way too high. This guy references violent crime in the black community, joblessness, family breakdown, addiction, despair, poor education, over-incarceration, quote unquote, and increasingly violent clashes between law enforcement departments and the so-called communities that they serve. The result is a catastrophic wealth gap, he says. Wealth gap, commie. The median net worth of black families in the United States today is 1/10 the median net worth of white families. 62% of black children born between 1955 and 1970 were raised in poor neighborhoods, compared to 4% of white children. Results from the generation born between 85 and 2000? Even worse, 66% of black children raised in so-called poor neighborhoods, compared with 6% of white children. The only way to explain the story above is the persistence of racial prejudice and its enshrinement into the apparatus of government. So he says, what? Racial prejudice is the implied spider that has woven the web of policies and practices, inequalities and abuses that have constrained black Americans now for hundreds of years. That's so phony. What a liar. First of all, black failure is black's fault anymore. Second, the wealth gap is a commie term, like I said, a Democrat term, indicative of a mindset. You don't believe in God, you believe in money. Because people can really make miracles for themselves if they're not hung up on this mess, this failure. And that's indicative of a mindset that breeds failure, by the way. You know, like, famously, I don't know if this lady was perfect or right? But what's that woman from England who was the prime minister, a female prime minister? Margaret Thatcher. She was kind of like a Reagan, right? In that supposedly they were conservative and they brought economic freedom, which brought economic prosperity. That meant everybody was doing better. But the so-called wealth gap increased. There's a famous, I played this clip months or maybe a year or so ago, where This guy's all, yeah, we're doing better, but the gap between the rich and the poor is way bigger than ever. Well, what's wrong with the wealth gap if everybody's doing fine? Stupid. So that's failure type thinking. Democrat policies enable black degeneracy, by the way. And I think this guy knows that. It's like a mother enables a spoiled addict. This man, though, does not believe in God. And he hates and looks down on blacks, by the way. Yeah, jealousy. Jealousy is what the wealth gap is about. Envy. Stealing by the government sanction. He does not see blacks as fully human. This guy, Timothy Dalrymple. He does not see them as fully responsible. It's disgusting. Anyways, it's half past. I have a bit more to get through, but let me read a few super chats and get to your calls. Gorgonzola, this Hake's house. I think he gave that on Friday, but it was kind of toward the end. And Gorgonzola gave a diamond. Oh, frig. That's a reference to when we dropped early in the show, but we're not dropping anymore. Silosopher with a diamond, thank you. Asmodor with the Ninjagini. The Confederate flag represents the honor and fighting spirit of Southerners. Yeah. Why don't you guys who believe that it's about slavery talk to the people who are actually flying the flag? Yeah, some of them are maybe nasty a little bit. But the people, talk to me. You know me. Anyways, Prince High Life with many diamonds. Thank you. Appreciate that. Shout out for the subscriptions. Prince High Life with so many diamonds. Azador says, Christianity Today is funded by George Soros. Is it? I wouldn't be surprised. If Asmodor says it, must be true. Lin Yan Chin says, white baby engineers boost life quality for all. Yeah. Exactly. The best thing we can do for the blacks is to have white babies. And make them righteous again, finally, maybe. Inflictor 2020 says, cool, thank you. David from Kentucky says, that Confederate flag sure scares a lot of people. It's so phony, these people. They need to get over their hatred. Jib Jab says, bonus deers, Hake and Joel. I'm not sure what that means, but thank you, man. Willie Palomino gave a diamond. Hot Computer Smell gave a diamond. Lin Yan Chin says, our character and biochemical divide is emergent of divergent spirits. We are more than just different at the superficial levels of skin and DNA. Lin Yan Chin. Bonus Deers is making fun of Earl saying buenos dias. Oh, thank you, Joel. Lin Yan Chin says the 1910 eugenics projects of USA saw sterilization of Irish, Eastern Europeans, and any white person deemed unfit to procreate up until 1938. Thank you, Margaret Sanger. You know, she was there. She was around before abortion was around, I think. They were doing sterilization, preventing people from making babies. You know, one thing I don't support about the cops? Here's one thing I don't support about the cops. They give so-called rape victims the morning after pill, an abortion pill. Did you know that? I learned that from a friend. A friend of mine, her daughter was supposedly raped at a park. She was out late at night, and she was at a park, maybe, I don't know what was going on, but supposedly she was raped, right? The cops gave her an abortion pill. Isn't that crazy? That's evil. Who made that policy? I don't know. Joe gave a super chat and said, Mitt Romney is not conservative, not a Republican, and not a Christian. He appears to me to be a CIA. Yeah, the CIAs are a bunch of liberals. Man. Okay, let me get to some calls. Rick from Maine, thanks for holding. What's up?
Yes, sir. How are you today, bud?
Doing fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm rolling down the road here trying to make a buck.
Right on.
Hey, I wanna put my 2 cents worth into this reparations thing.
Yes.
And I've made this comment before. I would certainly ask anyone who thinks that they are entitled, that's one point I'll get to reparations. The people who are involved in reparations or should have gotten reparations, like you mentioned before, way back in history. Does that affect today? No,
Right.
it does not.
Yep.
I would ask that person a simple question. Are you a god?
Yeah.
If they say no, then I would say, I owe you nothing.
Nice. That's true. And it shows that he doesn't really believe the mind is so powerful to either hold you back or get you out there into success, whether you're a Christian or not. If you have the right mindset, you can become worldly successful. Right. And you don't have to be
that's the thing
pathetic.
Right there, James. They have to put their efforts to a good cause, to advance themselves in society,
Yep.
to make a foundation of not only their lives, but their family lives, to show that they are putting their worth back into society. If you're sitting on your backside, like a lot of these people are doing, or going out and destroying other people's property, or citizen-owned property, i.e. the buildings and statues.
Yep.
That is a federal felony, by the way. It's called destruction of taxpayer property.
Hang them.
And we're not enforcing it.
Yeah. That's really evil.
The thing is,
I'm glad that you brought that up.
If you've got the time to go out and do this stuff, how about taking that effort, turning your life around, and making something yourself besides an idiot that everybody hates?
Right.
The race thing, I love it. There's only one race on this planet. It's called human. If you want to make your ethnicities or ethnic groups look better and stop having other ethnicities stop looking down their noses at you, the simple fact is this: clean up your act.
Right on, Rick. Appreciate it, man. Gotta love boomers.
Have a good one, James.
You too. Take care, Rick. Have a good Sunday. Hope to see you in the church. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to sometime.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Let me get to Richard out of North Carolina. Richard, thanks for holding, man. What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
So I was seeing, well, first of all, I want to say happy birthday to the Great White Hope.
Yeah, that's cool.
Shout out to the Great White Hope. And then second of all, I'm glad you're doing okay. Seeing you wear that Confederate flag, and I was kind of worried about you a little bit because in my area, I'd probably get a Jesse Smollett on me, but it'd be true this time.
Right. Yeah. No, people are nice around here.
Yeah.
Well, not
and
all.
I also wanted to talk a little bit about the Atlanta thing.
Yeah.
And I saw actually the person who set the Wendy's on fire was a lazy, fat white girl, probably in her 20s. They have pictures of her. There's a video.
I saw pictures. I saw a screenshot of that too by a black.
I think was it a blonde or was it?
I don't know, but I did see a picture of. This is the girl who set on fire the Wendy's. Don't let them blame us, right? But to me, man, I mean, it might be true. It might be true.
I wonder if it was owned by that franchise that supported Donald Trump. I wonder if that was, their way of getting back at him.
Who knows? But that's supposedly where this guy got killed, and I don't even know when he got killed.
You mean the guy that struggled with the cops, punched the cop, grabbed the cop's taser,
exactly,
and they tried to taser him, and then he fired back.
Yeah,
and then they shot him. I mean, the guy didn't deserve to die, but you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah, he actually, if all that is true, he did deserve it because
there's video of it. There's video of it.
You bring it on yourself.
Exactly
you bring it on yourself, and you.
I don't care they don't care what your skin color. They don't look at your skin color. They look at the guy as an enemy, and then you combat it.
And he didn't care about his own life. So why should the cops? No. They're protecting themselves. So, anyways, man, I appreciate it, Richard.
Oh, I was going to say one thing about reparations. I'm Catholic, and I've been seeing my local church turn into BLM pandering.
Yeah.
And it's been really disappointing.
That is. You going to quit there? You going to say anything?
I don't. Catholics are too cliquey. I don't like them anyhow. I'm non-practicing because of that. So anyhow. Hey, Hake, still trying to get Jesse to get you. If he's around, tell him, 2 hours. You need to get 2 hours in this.
All right. Yeah, I don't. He's not the one holding it back. Like I said, it's I think I'm thinking White History Month. Come White History Month, I think that White History Month last year or so was when I started doing every day, and so the end of let me finish out June and we'll iron out a few things, and maybe White History Month will be when I start 2 hours. That's what I'm thinking.
Better be careful because you'll be called a racist.
I know. I appreciate it, Richard. Thank you, man.
All right.
Take care. Let me get to Maze, my favorite caller out of Dayton, Ohio. Thank you for holding, Maze. How are you?
I'm just fine as always. But James,
Yes.
now you wearing the rebel flag on a shirt, and you got your picture on the inside of the rebel flag. What does that mean to you? I mean,
it means
I want you to
love.
explain it.
It means love and respect for the South. The South
what
is
you're wearing.
beautiful. The South are some of the most decent people in America, and they're universally reviled by the mainstream. It's disgusting. It's been going on a long time. And so it just means pure love and respect.
Oh,
That's
so,
what it means.
And they have two flags, so why are you not wearing the other one?
Maybe I'll find it. Maybe I'll find it and wear that one too.
But do you know, could you give us some history about the flag since it's loving and all of this? And
Nah, I'm
different
not
things?
that into history. I just like the reality.
Oh, you just
Present
doing it
day
for the fun of
reality.
it.
The South is beautiful. The Southern people are beautiful. And the South will rise again. So,
Oh,
I'm
really?
not into history.
I bet it will rise again. It's rising all right. Yeah, laugh about it. But
Don't you think the Confederate flag is beautiful?
I don't care nothing about the Confederate flag.
But is it beautiful?
No,
Wow. Why not?
the history behind it is not beautiful.
No, the history behind it is very beautiful.
And then when you get those, like the one that for Richard, whatever his name, he's writing about some reparations. He might be going to get some reparations from somewhere if the country keeps going the way it is. And if you find people like land burned out, their homes bombed up, and they still have the land and they have the history of it, what you supposed to do with it? Forget it and act like it didn't exist? But you wrote about a statue that being taken down, and you didn't have anything to do with it. So why you want to participate in writing about them people taking those statues down? And they say, we. You always talking about we. We are not God. Do he get in his head? He's not God.
You know those
Caucasians
people,
are not God.
Maze.
And you can't treat them like children.
What do you think about those people who are taking down the statues?
I don't think that the black ones should. The Caucasians can take what they want to put down because they put it up there.
No, those people who are taking them down, they did not put those up there.
They did not put them down, and the ones that are arguing about them taking them down didn't put them up there either. But when you talk about history,
isn't that
and they
disgusting?
don't wanna,
These people hate America, and they're taking
they
down
don't hate America.
They're taking
They're
down.
taking-
No, hold on. They're taking down the most vulnerable of the white monuments down.
Really?
They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop
Right.
until they take down America all the way. And it's not just the monuments. It's not just the symbols that they're taking away. They're taking away the character of America. They hate
Oh,
they hate
well, is that the
Christianity.
character?
They hate Christianity.
If that's the character
And they
of America,
hate
they might be
Maze, they
might be
hate you
embarrassed for the
too.
character.
They hate you.
Well, I don't care about people hating me.
No, and
You
they
know,
will
they
destroy.
care less.
They
And
will
when you
try.
find
They will try to destroy your children with the brainwashing hatred of America, which you probably are participating in, honestly.
It's like when you was discussing about those people's hair and then who's supposed to be holding who and doing what. You get the point. Y'all don't tell people what to do anymore. They are free. When people are free,
No, you don't believe in freedom, Mace. You don't believe in freedom. I can tell them what to do if I want to. I'm free.
You want to, and you can't. That's your problem. You and the guy Rich or whatever his name. And then I also have another question for you, James.
Yeah, okay.
So why is the Klan going around putting papers on people's doors, asking them to join? And then my cousin was telling me in the neighborhood.
I don't know anything about that.
And let me finish. You don't want to talk about them. And so she said that they put on the one that's married to the black man. They put some candy on her porch. So should that go away?
They put some what on her porch?
Should they go away? Some candy.
Candy?
Yeah, candy.
Because a white woman was married to a black man?
Yes, that's what she got. But the people
Isn't that
around
sweet?
them, they got the
I don't know anything about the Klan
So why are they
doing
trying to
anything in your town. That's your
No, I
issue.
didn't say my town. I'm not talking about my town. I'm saying them, period.
Who cares? They're
and then
irrelevant.
They're carrying the rebel flag.
All
so
right.
why would you want to be a
I gotta
part
go,
of things
Mace.
like
Nice
that?
talking with you.
No, you don't want to answer my question. But
It's a
then
dumb
as I
question.
Say, tell,
It's a very dumb
but
question.
tell Rich, and I want you to have a nice day. But
All
tell
right.
Rich, he don't tell us what to do.
Do you
we're
watch
wrong
church?
And we're free.
Do you watch church with
Yes,
Jesse
I
Lee
listen
Peterson?
to church sometimes. I listen to the whatever it is. It's not church, but what y'all
The podcast?
What is it?
Right
Like
on.
Joel Osteen Yeah, like Joel Osteen looking up in the air talking to the sky.
I got to go, Mace. Nice talking with you.
Yeah,
Take care.
but you ever tell him to find himself, and maybe God might bless him one day.
Thank you, Mace. I had to go. Mark out of Diamond Bar, California. Mark, what's up? Thanks for calling.
What's happening, James?
Hey.
Yeah, wanted to comment about the Confederate flag really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Gadsden flag, the Don't Tread on Me.
Yes.
And it's like the left just said, you know what? We're going to say that's racist.
Right.
And everyone's just like, yeah, it's racist. It's a Confederate flag. And someone asks, well, what does the Confederate flag represent? It represents the South, and the South was racist.
Yeah.
They were pro-slavery. And it's like, incorrect. The Democrats were pro-slavery. There were plenty of Northern Democrats that were extremely pro-slavery, that were like campaigning and like going nuts in the North.
Yeah.
And there were tons of anti-slavery people in the South. It was never a battle of like two different territories, one to conquer the other. It was a
Right.
civil war within, right? And it was the Republicans anti-slavery versus the pro-slavery Democrats. The Republicans outlawed the Ku Klux Klan that Mays was referring to. The Democrats had the Ku Klux Klan as their strong arm. The Republicans opposed civil rights. The Democrats had Jim Crow. So it's just a way to be like, we're Democrats, we're the fair people, we love black people, and you're a racist.
And man, I'm not even for this even kissing up to the notion that slavery is as evil as they're pretending, because they are more evil today. The Democrats are worse than they ever have been. Today.
I totally agree.
Today, they're enemies of blacks, America, whites, everybody. They are full of hate.
I totally agree. Mays is a great example.
Yeah.
My wife was just saying how like nice she sounds with her accent. She likes when Mays calls.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm like, believe me, everyone loves Mays.
Yeah.
And like, but she can only do one thing. She can just imply racism.
Right.
That's it. Nobody can prove it. Nobody can debate it. Nobody can answer your questions. No one will even have a conversation. They will do one thing and one thing only. They will imply racism to either America,
Yep.
and America can't defend itself, right?
Right.
They'll say white people can't defend themselves because you don't speak for all white people, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so, okay, America and white people, these two thieves, these two villains that are not here to defend themselves
Exactly.
are the evil ones, right?
Yeah.
They're evil. And America is evil, and the Confederate is evil, and the Gadsden flag is evil, and the American flag is evil now, right?
I know.
The American flag is evil now. And it's just racism. And everyone's a racist. And I don't have to explain anything. I don't have to prove my point. I don't have to answer your questions, right?
Yeah.
Even if you answer all of mine, I just imply racism. This is what Andrew Breitbart said.
Man.
He said that.
Black Lives Matter and Antifa are the same thing. They both want the destruction of Christianity, of America. Antifa says no borders, no walls, no USA at all. And then the Black Lives Matter just smears with this, founded on genocide and slavery and just drama. It's mess.
Black Lives Matter has no central location. It has no office. It has no headquarters.
Yeah.
It is not a charity. And it donates all of its money, hundreds of millions of
Act
dollars
Blue.
at people, to Act Blue, which donates it all to Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden.
It's disgusting,
It's a
man.
Democrat strong arm, no different than the KKK, except that they do much more destruction. When
Yep.
Jesse says that Black Lives Matter is worse than the KKK, he's 100% right.
Yeah.
You have about 3,800 lynchings over like 90 years.
I know.
Right? There's
Many of them were whites.
That killed. There's more than that killed in 1 year,
Yeah.
right? From the Ferguson effect.
Yep.
Just the Ferguson effect, not even including all of the murders, just
Right.
the increase in murders because of these idiots implying racism after Michael Brown did not have his hands up and was shot. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Those are lies. There's, again, Democrats bringing lies and bringing destruction. And you don't have to do anything.
I know.
100 years ago, you would just say, he's an N-word, and that would be the end of the conversation.
Right.
And now, you just say, he's a racist, and that's the end of the conversation.
Yep. Mark, man, I appreciate it. I got to go. Take care,
James.
man.
See you.
All right. Asmodor says, do the Egyptians, gave a diamond, said, do the Egyptians owe reparations to Jewish people? Do Italians, Romans, owe British people reparations? Hate Cultivator says, will they remove the Statue of Liberty too? They don't even have to, man. They've already removed the character of America, meaning the decency of America. They're trying anyways. But the South will rise again. The decent people, meaning the decent people, will rise again. There's very fine people on both sides. AZZ7 Aztec, I think, says morning after pill prevents conception, dude. I don't know. I don't buy it. Bob Anderson says whites have to speak the truth in love. You're doing your part, James. I appreciate you. Thank you, man. And spoiler alert says press 1 if you would eat mystery Klan candy placed on your porch. Interesting. I had never heard of that before. Interracially married people get Klan candy. Crazy. Hang tight, Benny, and the rest of the callers. Let me just read the rest of my response to this guy's dumb article. Back to this Christianity Today article by the president and CEO of Christianity Today, who's calling for reparations, white Christians to pay restitution to blacks. So pathetic. He's blind to black so-called racism, by the way. He says, maybe the most monstrous sin of the white church in America was shaping a theology of racial superiority, right, to justify slavery in his mind, right? But if he were to open his eyes to present-day reality, he would see that whites are slaves today of fear, which is their own fault, honestly. More blatantly is the false sense of superiority that blacks have. Blacks are crying every time they accuse you of racism. They feel superior, as when they push black this, black that, melanin on my kid's T-shirt. That's child abuse, by the way. That picture of that, it seems like child abuse to me. They demand to be kissed up to. They act like they're superior. As Jesse Lee Peterson points out, all angry people think they're superior. And blacks are angry. And Timothy Dalrymple is angry. He thinks he's superior. This phony thing, listen to this. Here's his reparations scheme. Reparations administered by the most unjust people. This guy, Timothy, talks about a biblical tax collector, Zacchaeus, and compares white people to Zacchaeus, who loved Jesus, right? Zacchaeus did not merely repent of his ways, because he was a tax collector, and I guess he would cheat people, supposedly. He made restitution. He set up what we might call a Zacchaeus fund. Isn't that cute? In order to restore what belonged to his neighbors, because he said, if I cheated anybody, I'll pay back double or something like that. Are we willing to do the same? Black lives matter, says Timothy. They matter so much that Jesus sacrificed everything for them. Are we willing to sacrifice as well? Pfft. Whites' money does not belong to black people. So it doesn't belong to our neighbors, the blacks. Whites do not owe blacks restitution. If anything, the blacks owe whites restitution, such as the so-called family of Michael Brown that got $1.5 million in a settlement from the city of Ferguson after Michael Brown robbed a convenience store, strong-armed the shop owner, and then attempted murder on Darren Wilson and beat him, got himself killed, and caused a mess, and the blacks rioted. His family owes Ferguson money, not the other way around. Yeah, Joel says, how are you going to give somebody a check who's been dead for 100 years? Exactly. Black people don't value the lives of their fellow human beings. This Black Lives Matter thing. Those blacks who commit abortions, murder, sell drugs, act erratic with cops, hate white people, have children out of wedlock, teach the children to hate whites, teach the children that they're going to be, that it's hard on a black man in America. They don't value life there. So this guy then promotes something called the 400 Leadership Fund, which is ridiculous. And he says, perhaps the country is not ready to make reparations, but the history of racial injustice demands the personal and corporate response. Corporate meaning communist, basically. And this guy's supposed to be a Christian. Perhaps the church can lead the way in biblical restitution. I am aware of one quote-unquote Zacchaeus fund in Atlanta, where Atlanta, gay capital of the world, and the blacks elected Keisha Lance Bottoms, a disgusting black female, liberal. Anyways, Christians who believe that African Americans have been subjected to 4 centuries of injustice and plunder are beginning to do their humble part to make it right. Humble. That's not humble. That's playing God, kind of like what my friend from the first caller said. A majority black committee, listen to this, assigns the funds to support rising black leaders in the church and in the marketplace. It will not be enough, but it will be something, he says. What if there were Zacchaeus funds in every city and believers gave sacrificially so our brothers and sisters could be restored? Money's not going to restore the blacks, dude. And so our neighbors could once again see the Christ-like love that overcame the world. There's nothing humble about this. And this guy, as far as I'm concerned, is a liberal. And liberals don't even understand justice. Let me get to Benny out of Lancaster, California. Beautiful area, Lancaster. First-time caller, Benny, thanks for calling. What's up?
Hey, guys, how you doing? Long-time listener. I'm a believer that we're not here on Earth by accident. Too many accidents to create perfection. But check this out, guys. The Confederate flag is a Democrat flag.
Yeah.
If you remember...
Not anymore, though, but it was.
Lincoln, was a nationalist, and the Confederate flag were the ones who turned away from America and broke away from us.
But I don't even know about that history, man, because they wanted to secede. And
remember,
yeah, they wanted
to... It remained Democrat all the way to the 1950s.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until then that the people, have changed. And, now are, Bible-loving country out there.
But in all honesty, I don't believe the what's claimed about these people. They're just, the history is so propagandized, you know what I mean?
Correct.
And you can say they were Democrats, but they weren't the Democrats of today. They weren't the disgusting Democrats of today. Maybe some of them were disgusting, evil people. Maybe some. But I'm not really into this smearing of the South in any way. I don't like giving play to that stuff.
It's not a mirroring of the South. It's more of a, just as Trump supporters.
Yeah.
There are some things that we can do to grab this wild horse by the reins. Because right now that horse is in a china shop.
You're talking about these riots and these blacks out of control and Antifa out of control. Yeah.
They're destroying all of our beautiful things,
But let me tell you one thing, Benny. And a lot of what you're saying is probably true, but facts don't calm people down. It's love and tough love.
No. If we come together and as Trump supporters and somehow start a movement that, okay, fine, we recognize that the Confederate flag is a Democrat flag, that'll be a huge wake-up call to them, forcing them to recognize their history and how they are all on the wrong side, promoting the originators of their so-called racism, and then creating a movement backwards to theirs, kind of showing their hypocrisy instead of trying to make us feel guilty.
Maybe, man, but I just don't see that fact, the fact that it's a Democrat flag, if it is, of changing a heart, of changing a mind. Because this is, facts are so empty. People just cherry pick what they want to believe, man. So we need to, it would be nice to put...
started the flag, and the flag got carried through history, sure.
And now it means something totally different from what it meant back then. It means love of the South. And the blacks love it. Have you ever talked to the Sons of Confederate Veterans?
Think about the Nazi symbol. The Nazi symbol can't be changed. No matter.
I
how
bet you
hard
it
they
could.
try.
I bet you it could if people were shameless enough with it.
Well,
Benny, I gotta run, man.
correct, the Antifa signal was changed as well. Right now, the Antifa flag that got changed. We all know where their moniker got, started at. And
Benny, make sure you join us for church. You gonna watch church with
Always.
Jesse Lee Peterson?
every day.
Right on, man.
Every weekend, every day, listen to you guys 6 a.m.
Appreciate it.
California time.
And church is in 1 hour, Benny. So make sure you catch Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel and be there.
I got 5 kids. We got 5 kids, and we listen to church every weekend.
Right
guys.
on, man.
I'd love to maybe one day go out there and when all this
For sure.
Chinese virus goes away.
It would be great to meet you, man. Take care. Appreciate your call.
Awesome. Think about it. It's a Democrat flag.
All right, Benny. Take care, man. Asmodor gave a diamond and said, Hake on fire today. Preach. Appreciate that, man. And thank you to Adam Clark, who says, hey, Hake, do you know of any books that tell the true story of the Civil War? Much love. Look up Bill Lockwood's YouTube channel. He's interviewed a couple of people on that stuff. And Hot Computer Smell says, James Hake. What's up? Thank you, Hot Computer Smell. Thank you, guys. Rebuildingtheman.com/church. And Nick says, Devil's Avocado, the loss of wealth permeated through generations. Variations of the argument. Interesting. Yeah, because there's a bad character loses wealth like that. All right, guys. Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel and Facebook page for the stream. Thank you guys for joining. Take care.